I'm sorry.
Bob Rose says, I can ask him.
Bob Rose.
Bob.
Are the two people to be appointed here?
One is, if the other one's here, I don't see it. But
Do it without Joe.
Is there a way to make the air folder?
thank you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was thinking maybe.
I don't even know.
Right, but wouldn't somebody in the behind the glass?
Why is it?
And I'm saying there's a lot of people.
Yeah, well, of course. That's
And actually,
maybe the fire department.
Don't tell me that the damn.
What's the matter? It's on. At some point, you and I probably should have a chat.
As we're done. No. It's not that. It's the video. Now we have no video. The lack of our ability, technological, is just baffling. I can't understand how we all walk around with these things, but we can't get people.
Hey,
You know what?
Ready? Good evening, everyone. Would you please join us in a salute to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2017 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2016, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams.
Here.
Mrs. Larrier.
Here.
Mr. Lembrick. Mr. McGehee.
Here.
Mayor DeLuca.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7 provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas desire this governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observation of the actions and discussions of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 1st meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. I'm going to go through the agenda just so we're clear about how this is the meeting's going to go forward. We're going to actually just do a little quick appointment of two people to the Municipal Alliance Board because they came to just be recognized and they'll be leaving. So we'll do that first. Then we're going to introduce representatives from Hillard Heinz. That's the consulting company that we've hired, a consulting firm that we've hired to work with us on matters of the police. Then we're going to have some comments, if they wish, by members of the Township Committee and some action. And then we'll open public comment. After public comment, we'll have our Board of Health meeting, which is a monthly meeting. Then we have two ordinances we'll be introducing. One is, both of them actually deal with vehicles and traffic. One has to do with Oakland Road, and the other is East Cedar Lane and South Pearson Road. We also have an introduction of another ordinance which deals with zoning requirements for residential properties. We'll be having a discussion item around transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our consent agenda has 7 items. We'll be authorizing purchase of software, closing a project at 60 Woodland on the kitchen. We'll be approving bills and claims, awarding the contract for road repairs, a contract to do some site improvements at the Bergdorf Center, and the minutes of July 18th will be approved. We'll then have a second public comment period. Then we'll have reports from administrators and reports from elected officials, and then we will adjourn. They can't hear in the back. Yeah, well, okay, we'll try to speak as loud as we can. The first order, I would just like to see, Mr. Rowe, we have Carlene Dixon or Ellen Donker.
Ms. Dixon's here, and I haven't seen Ms. Donker.
Is Ms. Donker in the building yet? Okay, can you work your way forward? Yes, and Ms. Dixon? Okay, you can come on up to the mic. We've never had so many people come for an appointment before, so. So if you could just, both of you have expressed an interest in being part of the Municipal Alliance. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, why you would want to serve.
Okay. Well, my name is Carlene Dixon. I've been a Maplewood resident since 2011. I learned about the Municipal Alliance through the health officer, Bob Rowe. We've been at quite a few meetings together, medical needs sheltering meetings for Essex County. So I had the pleasure of meeting him there, and he told me about the Alliance Committee and thought that, this would be a committee that I could be helpful and, be of some benefit to. So I certainly would like to be more involved in the community, and I think this would be a good opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Any questions?
None.
And Ms. Donker, why don't we have you give us and then we'll do both appointments at one time.
So my name is Ellen Donker, and I'm the publisher and editor-in-chief of Matters Magazine. I've lived in Maplewood since 1997, so I've been here a long time. Bob Rowe also asked me to serve on this committee, and when I heard again about what the committee does, I was very interested in the work. I've worked in nonprofit in the past, in development, and I care a lot about the youth in our towns, and I care about being able to have to address whatever these issues, so that we can have alternatives for them and help steer them in the right direction. So I look forward to serving on it.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to appoint Ms. Dixon and Ms. Donker to the Municipal Alliance?
Yes, Mayor, I would make the motion that we appoint Carlene Dixon and Ellen Donker to the Municipal Alliance.
Second it.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams? Yes. Mrs. Larrier?
Yes?
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. So next up on the agenda, we have our representatives from the firm Hillard Heinz, and we're going to ask them to come up to the microphone, introduce themselves. Okay,
yeah.
you can come on up here and sit up here. And they are going to introduce themselves and also their firm and talk about what the scope of the work will be with us and the result, well, the deliverable. Okay, Rob?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Town Council.
If you can move that as close as possible to your
Yeah, you gotta
face.
speak really loud because there's people in the very back.
I'm not sure it's even on.
That might help if it's turned on
No,
also.
it's not.
There
Yeah.
you
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my name is Rob Davis. I'm the Senior Vice President with a firm called Hillard Heinz, which is based in Chicago. One of our consulting specialties is we reach out and assist police departments, law enforcement agencies, both at the local, state, and federal level across the United States. We specifically look at either operations of a department or for specific instances of operations that people want us to take a look at, and then we compare and contrast what agencies are doing or have done to see how they compare to best practices across the country. One of the things that our firm does also is we work with the U.S. Department of Justice, the Community-Oriented Policing Services Office, where we take a look at agencies that have asked us to step in and assist them with their operations. Currently, we are in San Francisco, Milwaukee, Memphis, Commerce City, Colorado, Calexico, California, Fort Pierce, Florida, and St. Anthony's Village, Minnesota, amongst other projects we've done across the country. That's a little bit of our background. My colleague here, Rick Tanksley, I'll allow him to introduce himself as well.
Good evening. My name is Rick Tanksley. I'm a Vice President with Hillard Heinz. I have 32 years of law enforcement experience with the Oak Park Police Department, Oak Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. Retired in last August and joined the firm of Hillard Heinz, and I've been involved in police assessments in a number of agencies across the country.
Could you talk about what you were brought into Maplewood to do?
Yes, very specifically, we were asked to come in and take a look at the incident that occurred on the evening of July 5th, 2016, and to take a look at what occurred in terms of the incidents in a couple of different locations in the city, but again, with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of ears, listening and looking at what occurred that night with an eye to seeing what was considered a best practice or not a best practice in terms of how the department handled that. So very specifically, we'll be looking at the department's policies, procedures, their operations, their training, the type of leadership training that some of the supervisors have had as well. And then with that as a background, speak to members of the department who were involved in the incident that night, as well as reach out to members of the community to hear what their perspective is on those incidents that night. So we've already launched our interviews today with some of the members of the police department, but we would be looking to assistance both from the council as well as other leaders within the city to identify individuals within the community with whom we should be speaking. I would also mention, Mayor, since we're in a public forum, that we are interested in hearing from anybody who might like to talk to us. So we will make ourselves available inside or outside the lobby here at the end of the meeting so that we can share our email addresses or telephone numbers so that people could reach out to us if they would like to share their perspectives. And then we will be delivering a report probably around the end of September to the council with our assessment of what we've learned, as well as a set of findings, what we believe occurred that evening, and then also a set of recommendations that would address those findings.
Okay. Does somebody have
like a microphone or somebody talking on their phone or something? Oh, but nobody's talking right now. I'm still hearing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
They're
streaming. Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Henning.
Any questions for our consultants?
None for me, Mr. Mayor.
So if anyone wants to speak to you, you'll be here throughout the night and they can hook up with you.
That is correct.
And you can do that either on the phone or in person the next couple of days while you're here.
Or by email if they'd like as well. We'll give them our numbers, our email addresses.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, we're now going to move into some statements by the Township Committee before we get into public comment. And I'll ask my colleagues if anyone would like to make a statement.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a statement.
Mr. McGehee?
Thank you. The events of July 5th, 2016 are sickening and unacceptable. That event, that evening, following our township celebration of the 4th of July, Black children who were gathered on Valley were herded like cattle out of Maplewood, a town that many of these children call home. There is no greater message that you are not welcome than being driven out of your hometown simply because of the color of your skin. When did being Black become a qualifying factor regarding residency in Maplewood? Leadership matters. The abuse of power and poor leadership bathed in racial bias on display that night is disgusting. Were it not for the directive of those in the position of leadership, this particular act of excessive force would not have occurred. Research shows that Black children, in particular Black boys, are policed disproportionately like no other demographic. They are seen as out of place virtually everywhere. Research has also shown that adolescence is a critical time during which young people come to understand and respect or resent the law. As horrific as the July 5th event is, I do not want to paint our entire police department with a broad brush. Over the last several months, I have had the opportunity to work with many of these men and women directly to start the groundwork for a mentoring program that will help benefit our young people. Several events have already taken place at Columbia High School, but I am very concerned about the erosion of trust that the July 5th event has created and the negative lasting effects going forward. We'd like to believe that we live in a safe and nurturing environment for our children. But the acts of July 5th, 2016, as well as other events in our town, have brought a rash realization to many Maplewoodians that we are not the town that we think we are. The claim that we are both diverse and inclusive is aspirational, not a reality. We all have work to do to live up to the claim that we are so proud to voice, that Maplewood is a community that represents equality, a welcoming community. The actions that we take moving forward will define if we really are who we say we are. Changes need to be made at all levels, including at the policy level. When just last fall, a 5-year-old Black child playing in one of our public parks is told only white people, you have to pause and ask yourself, where does that come from? We have work to do. When we can justify the act of putting pictures on the wall of a public school building portraying a slave auction, which in my opinion is no different than human trafficking, and call it education, there is no justification. It is simply unacceptable. We have work to do. When a new resident is told that the town in which they now call home is also known as Maplewood, Maplewood, and Maplehood, we got work to do. And these are merely the examples that we know about because we read them in the press and on social media. The directive of July 5th, 2016 was inexcusable and senseless. These are our children. I cannot help but to think about my own Black daughter and the pervasive emotion and physical toll that this event likely continues to have on the families impacted on that evening. No person, regardless of title, rank, or tenure, is above the law. The law is designed to serve and safeguard all persons within our township. Being Black is not a crime, and wrong is wrong. Tonight, I grab onto the arc of a moral universe and bidded just a little more toward justice.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate my colleagues' words. Something strikes me with what you say, erosion of trust. There has been a definite erosion of trust. And as a result of that erosion, there are certain actions that we will need to take. We certainly, as a township committee, as a police force, as residents, we absolutely must be vigilant to make sure that we are living out the values that we espouse. We have to make sure that we don't just talk the talk, but we walk the walk as well. Everyone within our town. I welcome the findings of our consultants because I really hope that they can put us on the road to where we need to be. Until then, I would like to say that we have heard everything that you residents have said. We have received your emails. We have taken to heart your words and the pain that you feel. And please know that we are addressing this with the seriousness it deserves.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Is this on? No, now it is. Sorry. I have no doubt of the feelings and beliefs of my fellow township committee members, including Mr. Lembrick, who is away on vacation this week. No Maplewood residents should have to experience what many children experienced here on July 5th of 2016. While many in the public have rightfully expressed frustration about the length of time for the tapes of July 5th, 2016 to be released, I can say that I and my colleagues have experienced that same frustration, waiting for the evidence and the tapes to be released so that we, as officials, could even come close to hearing or seeing this evidence was incredibly long. We privately, I know the mayor reached out to the prosecutor's office. We publicly asked them to speed things up. It was inordinately long and, as far as I can tell, unnecessarily so. But we must follow the law. So those of us on the governing body only saw the tapes that were just released a week ago, a few weeks before that. And just as most of the public or anyone who's taken the time to see them has felt, we were appalled and disgusted by what we saw our police being directed to do or what they were acting and doing in those tapes. This is not the town that I live in. This is not the town that I believe in. This is not the town I've lived in since 1989. This is not the town I've raised 5 children in, gone through the public school system. This isn't the town that I love right now, although I think most of us are in agreement with how we feel about what happened. So that's a good thing. There's a lot of respect, mutual respect, and a lot of care. And I know my colleagues on the township committee, because we've, independently talked, we all have gotten the comments from the community, and we take those to heart because we very much feel the same way. So this is a culture and environment of the police department needs to reflect all of you and all of us, and not be something completely different that we don't adhere to and we don't support. And so we need to make major changes, and tonight, finally, is our first chance to act on some of that. So I look forward to our discussions and your comments.
Thank you. So tonight, the excuses stop. Tonight, the delays stop. We now have the authority to start making decisions. As Ms. Adams said, for a very long time, we've had to defer action to the Essex County prosecutor. That took more than 6 months to issue their ruling. Then we had an internal affairs office that didn't seem to prioritize what had to get done. So tonight, we are going to be making some decisions based on comments that you've made, emails you've sent us, things that we've read in positions of various organizations. I just want to read to you what the mission statement of the Maplewood Police Department is. It's to serve and safeguard all persons within the township in a fair, safe, professional, and considerate manner, consistent with the law and established goals of the community. On July 5th, 2016, our police department failed to do that. We are appalled by the excessive force used by police officers against a group of young people. We are appalled by decisions that were made by our leadership of the police department. And we want to set the record straight that that type of behavior is not going to be accepted in Maplewood, and that the police department is going to right themselves, and we are going to work together with you, and we're going to rely on our consultants to help us, is to right this ship and get it working again for all of us. So as I said, that we've received a lot of comments, a lot of suggestions, a lot of recommendations, some demands of what we ought to do. And I just might say, although Mr. Lembrecht is not here tonight because he had a family vacation scheduled a long time ago, he has been participating by phone, by email. I've spoken to him a couple times today in the last few days, so he's very much involved in this decision. This is a decision that the 5 of us have put together, and I'd like to go through them now. So in light of the events of July 5th, 2016, I'm calling for a motion on a vote of no confidence in Police Chief Robert Cimino.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we take a vote of no confidence for Chief Robert Cimino.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. In light of the vote of no confidence, I call for a motion requesting the immediate resignation of Police Chief Robert Cimino.
Mayor, I'd make that motion for immediate resignation of Chief Robert Cimino.
I second it.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. In light of the 2 previous votes, I call for a motion to instruct the Township Business Administrator, who is the appropriate authority for the Maplewood Police Department, to immediately place Police Chief Robert Cimino on administrative leave with pay for 60 calendar days.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that our town administrator put Chief Robert Semino on administrative leave for 60 days with pay.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Call for a motion to place Police Captain Joshua Cummins on administrative leave with pay through August 31st, 2017.
Mayor, I move that Joshua Cummins be put on administrative leave through August 31st, 2017.
I second it.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
was when I was in a car with my friend and I started playing, I think it was an Usher song. And she said, "Oh, can we not listen to this? It's too urban for me." And that's when it all started to kind of pile through into my brain that we need a lot of work here, because that's not the only one. I know that I'm not the only one, especially with a bunch of new people moving in here with the new apartment building being put into town. There's going to be a lot of people who think that it's correct while still never seeing a black person in their lives. I'm very sorry. We need to educate our children about diversity without just saying, we live together, that's good enough. We live in the same town, that's good enough. We live in the same town, but out of the 50 people who live on my street, 3 of them are black. That's not good enough. The change needs to come from somewhere, because young people are educated by older people, and we do have some outstanding members of the community, Mr. Whitaker, for instance, who I didn't realize at the time, but really changed my life. We kind of butted heads back in our class, but I really do think he really just changed the way I think about things and the way I think about this town. Because I do want to, over the years, I thought, I'm going to move back to Maplewood once, I get a job, hopefully, and I want to come back here. But it's harder to say that when I see that incidents like this is too urban for me. Incidents the same night, same person told me that they didn't want to park a block away from Wawa because they thought that they were going to get robbed in that block away. Incidents like that need to go away. And I think everyone, not just the young people, not just the police, every single person needs to contribute to that. I'm done.
Thank you.
So my name is Jordan Fields, and I'm a 2016 graduate of Columbia High School. I've lived in Maplewood my entire life, and I attended public school in the South Orange Maplewood School District from kindergarten until high school. I'm currently a rising sophomore and a student athlete at the University of Pittsburgh. Tonight I'm here to talk about the July 5th fireworks incident. After listening to the audio tapes that were released, I was disgusted by the manner in which our police officers treated my fellow town residents. Under orders from Chief Cimino, Maplewood police officers herded numerous young men and women of color through the streets of Maplewood like animals. They forced them towards the predominantly black community of Irvington, even though they were told that they lived in Maplewood and South Orange. Then, when watching the videos, it became obvious that officers used excessive force against our youth, kicking them, pepper spraying them, and inciting violence. If the crowd was relatively calm, why did the Maplewood police officers lay their hands on anyone? What continues to disgust me about this incident is the fact that despite one officer stating that the group of youth seemed pretty calm, the chief insisted on getting them out of the neighborhood. Is that what you all mean when you say not in our two towns? In addition, the Township of Irvington has a set curfew of 10 p.m. for youth under the age of 16. Assuming that our police department is aware of this curfew, and they should be given the fact that Irvington and Maplewood share a border, why did our officers knowingly push residents into a town where they could be subject to arrest? And to top it all off, Chief Cimino gave officers the order to maintain the border. Where have we heard that before? That's not just Trump rhetoric, that's racist rhetoric. Not only were Chief Cimino's actions reprehensible, but his decision to show a handful of community members the tapes while people have been trying to acquire them for an entire year through an Oprah request in an effort to save himself was inexcusable. He clearly chose and used those people because he didn't think that they would criticize him as harshly as other community members. And he was correct, because they didn't say anything after they were shown the tapes. To the people who watched them, we've been demanding the tapes for an entire year. What gave you the right to watch them before the people that filed the request for them? You should have realized that you made the wrong decision when you clearly saw the faces of the young men and women that were harassed by the police. By showing you the video, Chief Cimino disrespected Mayor DeLuca's authority. The mayor clearly stated that the videos would be released after the faces were blurred to protect the identity of the youth. Instead, Chief Cimino showed people the tapes prior to this process happening, which violates township protocol. Black youth in Maplewood and South Orange have been subject to harassment and profiling by both police departments for years. We no longer see them as a line of defense. I've had multiple friendly encounters with some of our officers, and I genuinely appreciate them for doing their job properly. However, what I will not do is praise those that consider themselves above the law and abuse their power like Chief Semino. I'm here to let you know that we, the community, will hold the police department accountable for their actions. What happened to our youth on July 5th of last year was definitely profiling, despite what the investigation found. If the officers didn't push the majority Black group to Irvington solely based on their race, why didn't the officers push them to Milburn? Don't justify their actions. Maplewood and South Orange love to sugarcoat incidents in which people of color are harmed, offended, or treated unfairly. If the Maplewood you live in is stigma-free, we must be living in two different Maplewoods, because where I live, white children are not herded out of town towards Irvington, and white children are certainly not harassed by the people that they learned were supposed to protect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fields.
Hello, my name is Justice Williams. I am a resident of South Orange. And I moved here when I was 13, about 13, for the 8th grade from Brooklyn. And like many parents of color and family friends in this neighborhood, there is an unspoken yet extremely expressed idea that my parents have worked too hard to leave Brooklyn to come here and have their children treated as if they do not live in this community, as if they do not pay taxes to be here. That argument aside from, so what? If this is a place that's welcome to all people, why is it that anyone, whether they live here or not, in our town should be carted away? But most importantly, I want to speak to a point that's been brought up over and over again, which is the accountability of us as members of this community. And the unspoken policing that happens aside from our police officers in their uniform. I mean, the unspoken policing that happens where I knew by the time 2 years into living in South Orange, Maplewood, I knew that on July 4th, and especially at night, or any night, any day, that I should not walk on Valley. I should not walk on Valley, I should walk on North Ridgewood or Prospect, because that would be residential homes. It would be Maplewood. There would be nice homes. It would be quaint. And the possibility of a police officer harassing me while on the residential streets, walking towards Jefferson, walking on Prospect, as I said, walking on North Ridgewood, would be very, very less likely. It's the unspoken policing of young Black people where I know I can't walk with an entire group of Black people. I know that. I'm a moving target. I can't do that. And I wouldn't ask my friends to do that. This is not new. This is just, as this has been said over and over again, this is not new. I've been walking home from Columbia High School with friends and I've been stopped by the police. My sister in town was literally moved up South Orange Avenue, up to Newark, begging and pleading with a police officer, telling them, I literally live on Terrell Avenue. I can show you my ID, please. Like, my mom is calling me, please. I've had lights shone in my face. I've been asked, where do I live? And what am I doing here? And it's disgusting. And this idea, whatever delusion we are under, that this town of Maplewood, South Orange is any better than the realities that this country is facing, it's ridiculous. When the shift from Newark, the boundaries that define Newark, Irvington, or Union are literally a sliver. They're so thin. I can have both of my feet in both townships, yet it looks completely different. The inequality is disgustingly obvious. So whatever delusion we are under that this town is in some way superior, some way a bubble, some way different, does not help. This rhetoric of we are diverse. With diversity comes these tensions. With diversity comes these forms of segregation, whether it be ones imposed on us by our other members who don't have the same skin color as me, or by Black parents who are instilling in us, you cannot be like the other Black kids. Not the ones who live further down on South Orange Ave, and not the ones who even live within your community. There is an unspoken form of policing that is happening within this community, and it is dividing us. It is extremely divisive, and it perpetuates this illusion. It's a delusion. It truly is. It's cowardice. And it's our way of not wanting to confront what really is the problem. The problem is the dehumanization of Black people that's been happening for centuries. And it's the dehumanization of young Black people that's been happening forever. So when we have rhetoric that says, you know, the members of our town, and we have this very exclusionary rhetoric that separates, there are people from Maplewood, the Black kids in Maplewood or South Orange are okay, but we have to look out for the ones in Irvington. We have to look out for the ones from Newark. We have to look out for the ones from Union. What is that saying? What does that really say? So I appeal to us all, as has been said earlier, to cede the entitlement that we have, to cede it, to be free of it, and to have the courage to look ourselves in the face, honestly look at ourselves and who we are and what we are doing and the things that we are saying, not the sugarcoating necessarily only, but the silence, the things that are not being said, those words that are missing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Greenstein, I'm a Maplewood resident. And this is what real accountability could look like if the Maplewood police were writing it. Dear South Orange Maplewood community members, in this letter, we want to take accountability for the racist assaults and attacks we made on our community's youth on July 5th, 2016. This is the first step in the process of repairing the harm we have done to the entire community, but more importantly to you, our youth. We felt justified and emboldened by our position as police officers to dehumanize you, physically assault and intimidate you, and ultimately terrorize you. We used unjustified and brutal violence by throwing some of you to the ground, kicking you, handcuffing you, surrounding you, and using pepper spray against you. This is not an isolated incident, but the community outcry and public nature of our wrongs has forced us to be accountable for the harm we caused you. We misused our position of authority and power in the worst possible way. When we called for you to go to the border of Irvington as if we needed to protect ourselves and fear you, we exhibited racial profiling and abusive behavior. We called in additional officers and further dehumanized you when Chief Semino gave the command to send them down Elmwood. While the majority of you were from our two towns, some of you might have not been from Soma and were just enjoying a night out with friends after the fireworks. We now know you feel unwelcome in our town, which is privileged enough to hold such an event. To you, we also take accountability for the additional assaults created by the psychological border in our town. Clearly, our unchecked racist actions contribute to a climate that encourages violence against and contempt towards communities of color, thereby inciting further violence. To repair the harm, we are committed to full and complete transparency. As you know, that was announced tonight, Chief Semino will be stepping down as police chief due to the reprehensible actions of the police department that night. We will revise department accountability policies and set up a structure for community oversight. These policies will dismantle the racial profiling and violence against people of color in our community. Foremost on our mind is deepening our anti-bias training and going beyond what is required by the state. We have failed miserably to live up to the spirit of the stigma-free town signs that are on the roads entering Soma, and instead have terrorized and assaulted the youth of color in our community. As a next step, we are committed to meeting with citizen groups to hold us accountable as we move forward to respect the rights, dignity, and safety of our community. Sincerely, the Maplewood Police Department.
My name is James Davis, South Orange resident. I wanted to take a few minutes to recognize your leadership in this area and also to acknowledge some other leadership that was lacking in this area. Although I understand, Mayor DeLuca, the challenges of being the Township Committee not being able to communicate because of a criminal investigation going on, that does not prevent our school board from communicating, but they did stop and did not communicate on anything on this issue until, well, they haven't to this date, if I'm correct, made any comment publicly about what's going on with our children in this town. And frankly, I'm appalled by that lack of leadership. Other community groups who have kind of jumped on the bandwagon since the tapes have come out, who were silent for about a year on this issue. That's a lot of class right there. But for one person who was sitting in the second row, TJ Whitaker. In his two towns, raising this issue for an entire year, practically by himself, until today. So I want to thank him publicly, acknowledge him publicly, so everyone knows why this decision tonight was made, because of his efforts. Not mine, not the people over here, but his. My second point is that the devil's in the details. So as an attorney, my experience tells me that you have to deal with a collective bargaining agreement for your decision, which the public will not have access to. So a lot of administrative obstacles you're gonna have to go through to make your decision actually final. My suggestion is that you publicly list what those transactions have to be, so the public is aware of what you have to do. Because as soon as you made your statement, I got questions in the back of the room. What does that mean? What does that mean? I said, I'll go ask them. So my suggestion to the township committee is to make this process of Mr. Cimino's resignation and departure as transparent as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Good evening. Jerry Ryan, 431 Lennox Place, Maplewood resident. Members of the Township Committee, good evening. Thanks for your service, especially on a difficult night like this when really difficult decisions have to be made. The community needs and appreciates your leadership. I sent you all an email today, and I thought I was going to stand up today and implore you to take decisive action today. Instead, I'm going to stand up and thank you for taking the first step, the first important step in regaining the entire community's trust in the leadership of the police department and in the entire community. I really do appreciate what you've done, and I appreciate your leadership on this, but you know, and I know, and we all know that we're not done yet. There's a lot more work to be done. So I ask you, I implore you, I beg you, keep taking all the steps that need to be taken, and if you think you're done, take one more. Let's make us be the community that we profess to be and that we know we are. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Thank you.
My name is Carla Caravello. I moved here 7 years ago from New York City. I have mixed emotions about what happened today. I am not condoning the violence. I'm not condoning this extreme that it has done. My message is to the kids, the children here, millennials. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. You also have to show respect to authority. Just because this happened does not mean that you can go on and disrespecting adults and people in uniform. I've been in the Air Force for 21 years, and I know what it is to respect a uniform. I'm not condoning the police action, and I'm also not condoning the kids' action to spitting on them and cursing them out. You also are at fault in this. And you go home crying to mom and dad, oh, the police hit me and this and that. But what did you do to create that reaction? Okay? Just like Ms. Adams says, we need a mutual respect in this community. I have heard you kids in the street cursing and acting like you're big and bad and nothing else matters. But you also have to learn that you have to show respect to your adults and show respect to authority. And with your words, you can all de-escalate situations and not let it get out of hand to get it to this point. So like Ms. Adams says, we need mutual respect here. What I don't want is the message that, oh, this happened and I'm gonna cry to mom and dad and get this policeman fired. I don't want that message going out because that's not what happened. two sides are at fault here. And it's also, hold on a second, not all kids are innocent here, okay? And you know that. It starts at home. They respect you at home, they should take that same respect out in the street. Because I myself have been disrespected by young adults in the street, okay? So what I'm saying is that if you show mutual respect and de-escalate a situation, it does not have to get to this point. So with your words, again, and mutual respect, a lot of things do not have to escalate. You might not like what I said, but you also have to understand that if you show respect to someone, they will give you respect in return. That's
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Walter Fields. I live at 135 Oakview Avenue. I'm a 20-year resident of Maplewood, and I'm chairman of the Black Parents Workshop. And before I begin, and bear with me, I just want to respond to my confused sister. Black people have shown respect for 400 years. We have showed respect, and we've been lynched. We've showed respect, and our women have been raped. We've been showed respect, and we've been discriminated against. We've showed respect, and we've been shot in the back like animals. We've showed respect, and we haven't been allowed to live in certain neighborhoods. We show respect, and our children are discriminated against in our school district. So quite frankly, I don't want to hear about children having to show respect. There is nothing any of those young people did on July 5th, 2016 that warranted the excessive abuse against them that was used by the Maplewood police. So I just want to make that clear. So in 1990, in my role as a board member of the Bergen County NAACP, I served as a liaison to the New Jersey Attorney General when a young black male, 6-year-old Philip Pinnell, was shot in the back with his arms raised and surrendered by a white Teaneck police officer. Teaneck, like Maplewood and South Orange, boasted of its diversity and progressive roots. After Philip was killed, Teaneck literally went up in flames overnight. A year later, as a state NAACP political director, I chaired an all-day public hearing on police brutality. We took testimony from victims, county prosecutors, police chiefs, criminal defense attorneys, activists, and citizens. The horror stories we heard are similar to what we viewed this past week on the video from July 5th, 2016. In fact, we took that testimony to Governor Jim Florio, and he subsequently issued the first executive order against racial profiling in the state's history. I would later support the efforts of Black New Jersey state troopers who filed a lawsuit against the state based upon their firsthand experiences of citizens' rights being violated. So having been directly involved in efforts to address racial profiling for almost 30 years, I know a thing or two about policing. Tonight, I come before the Township Committee to demand not a request for resignation, but the dismissal of Chief Robert Cimino and those officers who inflicted bodily harm upon our youth on that evening. They do not deserve to wear the uniform of the Maplewood Police Department, and our community should not pay the salaries of any officer that cannot uphold and respect the law and cannot respect our children. Tomorrow, we are transmitting a letter to the State Attorney General requesting that his office conduct an investigation into the events of July 5th, 2016, and while doing so, assume oversight of the Maplewood Police Department. The behavior of the police department on that evening was reprehensible and an abuse of power. It represented a callous disregard for the lives of children and youth and was a textbook case of racial profiling and police brutality. If it was not, then we should have videotape of Maplewood police officers marching white children down Ridgewood Road towards Milburn and using excessive force against them. By directing the youth to Irvington, our police department was putting the lives of these young people at risk by pushing them into a community that had a standing curfew. But that didn't matter to Chief Semino when he barked his command to send them east. There are more questions right now than answers at this point. Why did the township delay the release of the audio and videotapes when it was clear that after the Essex County Prosecutor's Office finished its criminal investigation in April, the recordings could have been released? And the recent unanimous New Jersey Supreme Court decision in NJMG versus Lyndhurst vindicated those of us who had been demanding the release of the recordings. Who within municipal government viewed the videotape and when? Why did you sign off on disciplinary measures against the officers involved in the use of excessive force before the completion of your own investigation and the release of these recordings? What was the basis of disciplinary measures taken? Was it reports from other officers on the scene, eyewitness accounts from citizens, or was it the videotape? If it was the video, then the punishment does not fit the offense. Who are the officers who have been disciplined? And why are their identities being concealed? The public has a right to know the identities of public servants that have betrayed our trust. Our challenges at this moment also extend within the community and not just in our local government. So let me be clear and let me address tonight the Community Coalition on Race. Since it receives funding from our two local governments, 1 year ago, you sponsored a community forum, not in our towns, not in our two towns, that was nothing more than a cover for our police department. Young people who voiced legitimate outrage over the events of July 5th, 2016 were denied the opportunity to speak their truth. Instead, a meaningless pledge was signed in what turned out to be nothing more than a Blue Lives Matter pep rally. CCR is a quasi-governmental entity. You cannot be an advocate on issues of race and justice when you are part of the institutional machinery from which injustices occur. For over 1 year, CCR was silent when our children were demanding justice. You have no credibility if you place property values over the value of our children's lives. Justice is not a branding exercise or a spectator sport. Justice requires a persistent demand for truth, the courage to speak when others choose silence, and a relentless spirit that is determined to address issues that are offensive to the human condition. Protecting the status quo when the lives of children and young people are at stake is morally offensive and reprehensible. We do not have the luxury to engage in meaningless dialogues or community forums in the absence of truth. And to our collective clergy community, your holy commission calls you to be a voice for equity and justice. You have a responsibility to speak truth to power and to align against the powerful when they abuse the powerless. If your focus is not on the least of these, then you have betrayed your calling. You cannot and are not entitled to the mantra of leadership simply because of your position in a pulpit. If your principal concern is not transforming society and creating communities on earth as it is in heaven, then you should expect the meek, the powerless, the dispossessed, the abused, and the weary to hear your call as unintelligible babble. Lastly, I want to commend Columbia High School teacher Thomas Whitaker for his enduring commitment to our youth. While our school district remains silent, Mr. Whitaker showed us that the role of an excellent teacher extends beyond the walls of a school building. I am grateful for his presence in our community, as I am for the Village Green for its refusal to stop asking questions and fulfilling the honorable role of journalist. As is the first principle of the Code of Ethics of the Society of Professional Journalists. Seek truth and report it. We are not deterred by delay or impatient by obstruction, but we are determined that the human rights of Black children and youth in Maplewood and South Orange will be respected. And we will not cease in our vocal and persistent advocacy until this township does right by our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam, former president of Maplewood.
Oh.
First, I like us all to give T.J. Whitaker a round of applause for being a villain for almost over a year with respect to this. Let's all give T.J. Whitaker a round of applause. And I want to echo some of the sentiments of my good friend who came before me. As a former vice chairman of the Community Coalition on Race, I am calling on the Community Coalition on Race to apologize to those Black youths of Maplewood with respect to that incident with the Maplewood police. I'm calling for them to apologize. I'm also calling for Reverend Richardson to apologize to those Black youths of Maplewood for that incident happened on July 5th. And I'm also calling for the Community Coalition on Race to drop the race in the CCR and to rename themselves the Community Coalition of South Orange and Maplewood. Because if you're going to say race, then there's issue in this community with race, you cannot be a bystander. You cannot be sitting on the bench and ask the coach to put you in. You cannot be a bystander. The Community Coalition race, I've said this over and over. They may have lost their way years ago, but it's time for them to stand up to any issue in South Orange and Maplewood that addresses race. You cannot get on the train after the train has already left the station and is almost at the end of its journey and then come out and march. That's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And for all those individuals who saw the video and was a bystander and didn't say anything after it came out, you need to apologize to those Black youths of Maplewood. Because what happened, I have a son, and that could happen to my son. It could happen to many. I lived in Maplewood, I lived in Ridgewood Road, what we call the western section of Maplewood. You have, they call it the east, and they call it the west. And yes, it is true, in Maplewood, they tell you about Maplewood. And I can tell you right now, I teach at Seton University. And at Seton University, they tell the kids, when you come to Seton, you don't want to go past South Center Street. You don't want to go right. You want to go left. I didn't even know that. But that's what being taught for the kids at Seton University. The students in my class told me that. I didn't know that. So these are the type of incidents we have in South Orange and Maplewood. And I'm calling for those groups in Maplewood and South Orange who say that you are truly about race. Do not pick which issue you're going to take a stand. You got to stand for something or you're going to fall for nothing. Thank you.
Miss, I don't mean to pick on you, but your comments just infuriated me.
We're gonna need your name, please.
My name's Avery Julian. I'm running for the Board of Ed. I just graduated from Columbia High School.
Yeah.
You want to talk about respect, but the police protect and serve, I'm pretty sure is the common theme of what they go about. Not wash blood, run down the street, not kick, not mace, not beat. And you want to talk about respect. What happened to children being children? I'm sure your comments tonight were not your first misstep in judgment this far in your life. Am I wrong or am I right? I'm sure you made mistakes when you were younger. That should not have costed you your life, should not cost you your dignity. No one should bring you to payment for that. For living your life and being a child. I watch somebody I see in the hallway, somebody I've been at parties, get stomped on the ground by people that have to go oath to protect them.
but they don't protect us. And you want to talk about respect?
Oh, shit.
TJ Whitaker. Thanks. Teacher at Columbia High School and co-founder of the Maplewood Freedom School. I had some remarks prepared to read tonight before your decision and before other folks spoke, but I think that so much has been said tonight that I don't even really need to read those. But I do want to say a couple of things. When I came to you almost a year ago, I was by myself, and this room was practically empty. And I said that night, after I gave you the allegations and I told you what I had heard, that I promised that I would be back with the community. Well, here we are. The perseverance has paid off to date, but again, there's still more to do. The vote is one thing, but until Chief Semino is officially out, we still have work to do, and you will continue to hear from us. I want to thank a few people publicly. Ms. Johanna Wright, who is a member of our Board of Education. Bethea, who is the outgoing president of Somaya Teachers Union, and Walter Fields, the founder of the Black Parents Workshop. I mention those three people because from day one, they were the ones who publicly supported our youth and publicly supported me. They put themselves on the line in many instances, and because of their support, is why we're here today. I want to thank everybody in this community who has written emails, phone calls, and put pressure on the Township Council. This is the kind of work that we need to do moving forward in order to have the kind of community that we claim to be. And I look forward to it. And finally, I want all of the young people, BSU, Math, Diversity, Rock, Powers, please give yourself a round of applause. Without your perseverance, right? Because that's what we're here for. If you say you're about the safety and protection and development of children, then you have to be willing to take a position, and you have to be willing to take that position no matter who it upsets when it's about the children. Thank you, and I look forward to your work in the coming months to dismiss Chief Sabino.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker.
Sonia.
So, hold on one second. Could we get you over there? We're having trouble again with the.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to stay over there so that, because the sound's going in and out and we're getting texts saying can't hear him, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Audrey Rowe and I am Program Director of the South Orange Maplewood Community Coalition on Race. I have not intended to speak, but I think that we owe the community the respect of being visible, given that our organization and our work has been called to question many times tonight. I want also applaud TJ Whitaker and those who have come forward. We had not been actively involved because we were not informed, and not being informed is no excuse. We did not take the action to learn the details early on, but that once we have found out what the situation was, we've tried to be an ally. I regret that I have to stand here and make this comment because I think there's enough work to go around for everyone in the community. If we're all headed in the same direction, that of justice and equality for all, I think there is enough work to go around. The Community Coalition has its role, and the other organizations in the community have their roles. And we stand here as a coalition, which by definition means we work with others. We're not trying to take the lead, we're trying to work to achieve the aspiration that we all have for this community. Yes, we're not a utopia, And we're here to work toward that goal and to work with everyone else in the community who's willing to do that. We thank everyone in the community and the township who supported us in the past, and we commit to do our absolute best to be worthy of your support and to support our youth as well as all of the citizens in the township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Williams. I am a resident of Maplewood. I live on Richmond between Baldwin and Garfield. I've been here for about 4 years. And I want to first start off by thanking you all for making a very fast and decisive decision in response to the voice of the community. I definitely want to thank the community, those who have come out and continue to push this forward, and those who came out in support today to make their voices heard. I really appreciate and am heartened by the diversity of the folks that are out here today, and I think that's fantastic. If you guys will indulge me, I think there's a couple of ironies that I think many people have probably already noticed, but I think the irony of this situation just has to be made even more plain. So the idea that many of us moved to Maplewood because it's known as a progressive town, and the reason that we moved out here was it was safe enough for our children to be able to just walk around the town, and then for them to actually be walking the town and have this type of treatment. It has to be just made plain. The idea that many of us are willing to endure $15,000, $16,000, $20,000 property taxes in order to have safety and to support this town, and yet have the police force that is funded by those taxes be the ones who would assault our children is ironic. And last but not least, the irony that this would happen following a 4th of July Independence Day celebration is just beyond belief. So those ironies are there, that they have to be called out. But I think every human being has a gap between their ideal self and who they really are. That's part of being human. And same for any group of human beings or any community. So what matters is when you have that conflict or when you realize that gap, what do you do? So again, I think folks have started to make the first step by coming here. You guys have started to make the first step by making that change. But there's still much, much more to be done. And I think the question I want to ask, not just you guys, but the community, with this idea of being our ideal selves, if we are a stigma-free community, to say, right now, there's a lot of indignation, I have it as a Maplewood parent, that these kids lived in Maplewood and were forced out. But so what if they weren't? That's my question. So what if they weren't? So if all of these, every last one of those kids came from Irvington, if they came from Brooklyn, I don't care if they came from Milburn, did they not have the right to be here? And should they have been forced out and treated in that way? So again, I ask that question really more of us as a community. I know who we want to be as a community. I know painfully who we are not as a community. And I think it's on all of us to continue to try to close that gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Hello, my name is Barbara Velasquez, and I am a trustee of the Community Coalition on Race. I am also a member of Soma Justice, as well as Soma Action. I had no intention of speaking today, but I feel that I need to make it clear that we are all members of Maplewood or South Orange. It does us absolutely no good to fight one another when we have a major goal in front of us. We have to work together as a community, put aside individual or philosophical differences, and work to achieve the common goal that we have before us. And I do not think it is appropriate at all to show such dissent in a public forum such as this. If there are issues that need to be discussed, they need to be discussed personally and privately to, if possible, to alleviate any bitterness so that we can work together to achieve the goals that are in front of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cassandra Dopp, and I'm not from Maplewood. I am an advocate throughout the state of New Jersey on most issues, particularly dealing with our youth. Let me just say this to the residents of Maplewood, and Mayor, you remember this. This is not the first time that the Maplewood police have harassed the youth particularly the Black youth in this community. My nephews, 2 years ago, Mayor, and you may remember this, because we had to have a meeting then, under the same chief, 2 years ago, when my nephews lived on Jacob, I think it's Jacoby, round by Quick Check. They came into my sister's house, arrested my nephew. The way they handled him was horrible. Then they arrested his mother because she was asking why was they arresting her son. So this ain't the first time. This is not new. And it's not new under this chief. And guess what, Mayor? You know why he continues to do it? Because you did nothing. You did nothing then. And guess what? You're not going to do nothing now. He will continue to be the chief tomorrow, probably 20 more years. You cannot, you Mayor, you cannot allow him to keep getting away with this. Obviously, he don't like Black people. Obviously. So I think he should be here. Where is he? He should be here. And if he's not in this room, he should be in the back listening. Because it's not his first time. And you need to put a stop to him. And I don't know why the tape is just not being released. Because then we may need to talk to the prosecutor office. My dear friend, Ms. Murray, she's not there no more, just stepped down. But we may need to talk to Mr. Reno. Why did you hold on to the tape so long, Mr. Reno? Why? I was there 2 years ago at the 4th of July. I go every year. Didn't go this was with the exception of this year. And it was a little different last year, even in terms of the way they was diverting us with the traffic. Where I was parked, I had to go all the way around. So it's his fault. I don't care where they was from. I don't care where they was from. He should not have been mistreating those kids. Now, we're talking about respect. Yes, they should respect them. But your officers got to respect them too. And your officers got to respect not just the residents of this town, but when any Black person comes to this town. Because you got some racist officers on your force. So deal with it. Deal with it, Mayor. Because you're nice. As a matter of fact, a couple of times I've interacted with you, you're a very nice man. Deal with him. Because if you don't deal with him, then the community got to deal with him.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee on any matter? You may have come here for another reason. When Mr. Davis, he's still here, Mr. Davis? I don't think he's here. He came up and asked us about, he said some people are asking about the process. So let's be clear. He's absolutely right. There is a fairly large volume of state law and regulations that we have to work through. But by putting the chief on administrative leave, we are taking his badge and his gun tomorrow. He will not be coming back to this building to be the chief of police. And the same thing with Captain Cummins. So that's what administrative leave means. And we will later after this, we'll be meeting and close to talk about personnel as to who we will appoint as an acting chief. And that person will have the responsibility to run the department. Chief Semina will not have the responsibility. Okay?
And he'll be on administrative leave.
He'll be on administrative. So,
while we investigate.
and I don't want to lose the fact that the two gentlemen who spoke in the beginning, they were doing their work and they are providing that independent investigation. And when Mr. Whitaker did come to speak to us back in September 9th of 2016, he did ask for that independent investigation. We had to wait for the prosecutor on our own investigation, but we now have that independent investigation, a fresh pair of eyes and ears, taking a look at what happened, recommending to us how this could never, what we can do to make sure this never happens again. So that's where we are. That's how we'll move forward. We're not backing off. We're going to continue on this, and that's our report to you. What I'd like to do is take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back and continue with the rest of the meeting. You okay? want to make sure. If I exit this, I'll never get it back. I better not do that. Yeah, I know. If I exit.
I think everything right. So, yeah. I can't imagine one thing.
Well, Greg is. Okay.
I'm protected. I introduced you. What did you do here? Younger generation. Yeah. Like tag him in. Tag yourself. See that good. Happy way. As long as I don't get dropped, that chair is not safe.
Oh, that chair's messed up. Oh, that
So it's a
chair's-
liability, so maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want to work.
What time are you on all night? Walk us to the floor. That's true.
All right, I'll see you soon. I'll see you next week. Okay. No, that would be helpful. Like there's down, but no.
Oh, I know,
the village green building. We didn't get all that many. Yeah, no, I didn't ever watch it. So when's that farmer's market?
I'll let you know at the, hey, it's doing great.
All right, can I ask you a question?
Dad, you look good there, Dad.
Well, we figured there'd be a crowd.
Okay, let's get going.
Where'd everybody go?
For a while, I figured out say my piece at the second part.
I know, it's sweating. I turned it off. It's because the vinyl.
Let's do a Board of Health meeting.
It's gonna be.
Dumpsters are going to go home.
Oh, crap, the dumpsters. I feel like I have no time to prepare.
I love you.
Township committee members, can we come up here?
We're going to get started, please. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get started. Our next item is the Board of Health, Board of Health meeting. Turn it over to our Board of Health President, Mrs. Larrier.
First, Mrs. Larrier has to find her paper.
It's in your envelope.
I have it, thank you. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2017 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2016, and by filing said notice in the office of the township clerk.
Ms. Adams.
Here.
Mayor DeLuca.
Here.
Mr. Lembrick. Mr. McGehee.
Here.
Mrs. Larrier.
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. Whereas Section 7 provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public in a meeting. Whereas desire the Maplewood Board of Health to
Can't
comply
hear.
with the provision of this act, same time it conducts its business in an orderly and
Sound better
expeditious
be
manner. Now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health, Township of Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, except as otherwise described by law, does limit the public to the observation of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will just get right to it. Can I get an approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Rowe, can we have your report?
Yes, it's been actually a very busy month at the Health Department in July. We got a report from the State Health Department on the audit, giving us a satisfactory rating. I emailed a copy of that to you. And they did have some items they wanted us to correct, and we've already basically corrected them. And what I'll be doing as far as the education of the Board of Health, I'll be including a section in our monthly report pertaining to public health law, if there's any questions, all that. I think our Board of Health has always followed the law. So, and under Mr. Desario's guidance. And so I think we've been outstanding in that regard, but they want us to do better.
If you say so yourself.
I'd like to congratulate our nurse health educator, Ms. Davenport. She passed her health officer's test. It's a very difficult test, and so she did it. And so I'm hoping at some point we can utilize her in a little different role in the health department. With her
Please
license.
relay our congratulations to her.
Okay, thank you. We have some special programs coming up in August. We'll be doing bone density screening on August 10th at the Maplewood Pool. And then we're sponsoring a blood drive with the Red Cross and the U.S. Army on August 21st at the Woodland. And that's actually a very big blood drive. We collected over 50 units of blood last year. So we hope to continue doing that. We'll be advertising that. I'm very happy we got 2 members of the Municipal Alliance tonight. One of the criticisms the county had of our Municipal Alliance is we didn't have enough members. So at the time, I was thinking maybe we could combine our alliance with YouthNet. It might be because we work on similar projects. So I don't know if the committee thinks that's a good idea or not.
I don't.
Okay. We'll keep
I would
our own
I would
alliance
actually
then.
concur that that's not the direction we would want to go.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to know. And so we'll try to recruit a couple more members so we have a more robust committee.
We have 5 or 6 other names.
Excellent. Okay. One of the projects that the Municipal Alliance helps fund are programs where police get to know youth and youth get to know police. We have pool parties and youth games, and we continue it's not called DARE anymore, it's called LED now. A lot of towns discontinued that, but Maplewood continued it, and I think it's all to the good. So my thinking is we want to continue that. We may want to amend things along the line somehow, but I think those are really good projects that we help sponsor. One of the really good projects, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling a little bit, but it was in the Matters magazine, was the Minority Achievement Committee at Columbia High School. It's students helping students to be better students. And there's a mentoring portion of that called Big Mac. And the Municipal Alliance helps support that part of the program, where the high school students help mentor the elementary students. And it's a powerful tool to help students do better, achieve better in school. So I'm glad to be part of that, and part of the Alliance is helping to sponsor that. And I took water samples from 20 locations around town and public buildings and parks, and I'm awaiting those results. The Board of Education is in the process of installing filters in all the water fountains and different food sinks at the schools. And they hope to have that ready by the start of the school year. I think that was the correct response to the problem of lead in some of the water fountains. And that was the exact correct solution. And So I commend them for that. And that's my report.
Any questions for Mr. Rowe before we move on to the next discussion item?
I have a couple of questions. One, I want to kind of go back over the update on the lead situation. I appreciate you, letting the public know regarding the particular water fountains in the schools. Can you just update the public in terms of your conversations with the Board of Ed in terms of the testing process, just so they're really clear?
Well, they tested over about 250 sources of water in the public school system, and it's required by state law. They had done it a year ago proactively, just to see what it was, kind of what we're doing with our own fountains. And those tests were good. Then when they did it this past year, I think 9 of the 200 some odd samples came out above 15 parts per billion. So that caused a lot of parental concern. So there were 2 aspects to that. One is installing the filters, which is absolutely right. The second part is that the only thing that's going to reassure parents that their children weren't lead poisoned is to have them tested. And so we've worked out a plan where, fortunately, most parents in Maplewood have their own pediatricians. So that's the first source they should go to. We also were able to recruit a pediatrician in South Orange who would take children in her office that weren't part of her regular practice, and she would test those children in Medicaid, New Jersey Family Care children. And then if there was a family that had no insurance at all for whatever reason, there's federally qualified health centers that they can be tested at. And that's the better way to do it, because rather than just having some bus come up and test hundreds of kids, because it isn't just doing the blood test and getting the blood lead sample. It's having your physician interpret the sample. It's educating the parents. So that's an important part of the whole care. So I'm glad we're trying to stick to the regular physician-patient route. And of course, at the public meeting we had at Seth Boyden School, I offered any parent who wanted me to come to their home to test for lead, because that is on the order of 1 million times higher than what the water is. I would do it. A little nervous. I thought I might get overwhelmed. I had one parent contact me, and sure enough, they had a lot of lead in their home. And so the parent was very pleased that I was able to show them exactly what needed to be fixed. So that's how I handled that.
Great, excellent. And one more question for you, Mr. Rowe. It's come to my understanding through the Board of Ed or the school district that if one school reaches a threshold of 25% in regards to applications for free reduced lunch, that would actually trigger the ability for us to go school-wide with free reduced lunch. And what I'd like to see is you reach out to the school district and work with them to make sure that their administration works diligently to get that documentation filled out this fall in the upcoming school year, because I think that the communication of that will benefit a lot of our children in the community with the free and reduced lunch who right now may not know they have that access.
Okay, I will check with the school district and alert them that we're interested in knowing those numbers. Yes.
Yep, it's just basically proactively make them know they should fill out these forms at whatever school they attend, be it middle school or high school or whatever. And if we get one school at a 25% threshold, it automatically triggers everyone to get free and reduced lunch, regardless if it's 2% in one school or 20% in another school.
For the whole district?
For the whole district, that is correct, inclusive of South Orange. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Rowe regarding his report? Okay, Mr. Rowe distributed to us his opinions regarding the dumpsters in town. Ms. Adams, I know that this was a topic that you asked to come before the Board of Health. Why don't I let you discuss your concerns?
Thank you, Ms. Larry.
I don't think I'm alone in Maplewood as somebody who's frustrated by, especially in Maplewood Village, the condition and in the rear of the buildings where the dumpsters for the properties are. And as you stated in your report, there are, twice as many food stores and restaurants in the village that there used to be. And I understand that wood stockade and chain link enclosures you're not a fan of because they end up looking as messy, and as you say, rats can climb the fence and jump into the dumpster, but a standalone dumpster with nothing to climb around, it makes it inaccessible to rodents. So all the things you lay out, many of them, I agree with the need for more pickup, especially of recycling. And I'm not sure how we go about requiring that, whether it's by ordinance or we just somehow enforce more frequently the way the dumpsters are, the trash is picked up in the village, or businesses are disposing of their trash.
Well,
and
right
their
now,
recycling.
they're a minimum of 4 times a week for food businesses.
Right.
For garbage.
Right, which is actually pretty light, I think. I mean, other towns I work in downtowns, it's 6 days a week. So I think that's something the township committee should consider with the influx of another restaurant coming in. So I saw that you suggested maybe painting, striping, or putting dumpsters on concrete pads seems to work better than existing just the way they are now on bumpy concrete, bumpy asphalt and so on. So the enclosure that was built behind the new Claris project, which is all masonry, is obviously nicer. Hopefully that'll function. So I guess I'm looking for a way we can control the haphazard way these dumpsters are all over, especially in the Village Coffee parking lot.
I think there's no law on how often you have to pick up recycling. I don't believe there is. And generally what I see is about once a week. And so if recycling was required to be picked up more often, that would probably help with the garbage. And brick enclosures are an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that too much. A rat could still climb up and jump in. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've seen it in the course of my work. So, and I think we've all seen the enclosures that get smashed into by the garbage trucks. And
right, but the
they just look
dumpsters
awful.
just get, without the enclosures though, the dumpsters get put wherever the garbage truck drops them.
Yeah, and I'm thinking another thing is maybe we can designate, this is why I was trying to think of painted lines.
Painting the lines.
This is where your dumpster has to be. And this is where you have to keep it clean. You'd be amazed at how petty the businesses are about some things.
No, I wouldn't.
When I go to garbage, can tell people to clean up the garbage, which is something I do pretty much every day.
Right.
They'll say, oh, that's not my garbage, it's their garbage.
Right.
And then the other guy will say, oh, it's not my garbage, it's the other guy's garbage.
So
And
you recommend doing?
little children arguing.
Right,
It's
so
frustrating.
you think painting lines and basically assigning a spot for the dumpster and having those spots striped would make it more palatable, like less messy if the garbage trucks are then required to put the dumpster back in those lines?
I think it would, yeah.
Anybody else?
I guess I think that would be for lack of a better term, a cheaper alternative to having everyone build enclosures. My question regarding enclosures would be, who would be responsible for building the enclosures? Who would be responsible for paying for them? Would it be the owners of the business, the owners of the property, or us? So I actually like the line, just delineating where your dumpster goes. I like that as a first start. I do have a question regarding the recycling. And I actually like the idea of increasing the requirement for recycling because that does take away some of the garbage. And so I guess my question to Mr. Desiderio is, can we do that and how do we do that?
If you're going to do it, it should be done by ordinance.
Yeah.
So I think what Mr. Rose should do is write up a report and a recommendation. And then at the September meeting, if that's what you want to do, I would say it might be useful to get some information from some other municipalities.
I was just going to say that.
And give us some idea of what they do and how they do it. So that would be my suggestion, that we start with that and then see how that works.
So increasing the pickup for restaurants and food businesses is for regular garbage as well, from 4 to.
I don't have the code in front of me, but off the top of my head, I can't think of. Do we have something in the code?
We did that about 2 years ago. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday in Maplewood Village.
What about recyclables?
Oh, I'm talking about garbage.
We didn't specify that.
I don't think we did. So that would be, and we could certainly do that.
Okay, and so we can also increase the number of days that garbage is required to be picked up by restaurants.
Absolutely.
Then can I say that we would instruct Mr. Rowe to do that as a board?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a question I have, are we talking about townwide or Maplewood Village?
I think I personally would be talking about townwide for commercial dumpsters, especially for the food use businesses, because they, it's a problem everywhere.
Yep.
And, even on the Springfield Avenue or Irvington Avenue business districts that even have more residential closer, I would like their dumpsters to be picked up more. No reason to attract rodents to households.
Great, so we can expect that at the Board of Health meeting
What do you
in
think about the
September.
concrete pads?
I think I'd try the striping first and see if that works, and then make sure that the garbage hauling companies are aware that that they'll be cited if we can include that in the ordinance, that it needs to be put within like a parking space line, like whatever we decide to stripe.
Right. And I'll have to say, there's better dumpsters. When I go on vacation,
Oh, yeah, I know.
I look at dumpsters in other cities and they're still dumpsters, but
they look better.
They're a little different style, and they have the latches, and they have the bigger wheels. Those little tiny wheels always get caught in the blacktop. So I think I'd like to get some cooperation from the waste disposal companies to give us better dumpsters.
Yeah.
It seems simple.
So how do we go about that?
They've been reluctant to change any of that.
Right, they're not going to change it unless they're forced to change it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can we start with the striping?
Yeah, but I mean, but I like his idea. If that's where they get, so whoever's the hauler is the one who gives the business the dumpster. Is that right?
Yes.
They don't go out and pick out their own
No,
dumpsters,
these are owned
colors.
by the hauling companies. That is correct.
Okay. So maybe could you possibly reach out to the hauling company and find out what the options are for a business, of what kind of dumpsters they could get, and then we'll know what we're dealing with? Maybe they say that we have no options, we just give them whatever beat up thing we've got left over.
Well,
That's what they do.
I would say not beat up. If one thing that I think we should be able to say is, if the dumpster is in disrepair, it needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
There's got to be a depreciation value on these dumpsters, right? X years, Y years. So maybe you ask them what is, by the contract, how long the dumpster is supposed to be leveraged by the business.
Well, no, they have to have a dumpster so I think what Mrs. Larry is saying is, if the dumpster's, looking really bad, then the hauling company should replace it.
I agree with that, but I bet there's some dumpsters that probably have expired in terms of their term, and other businesses are not aware of that, and you have the same dumpster. If you talk to the company and say, oh, there's a 10-year lifespan on a dumpster, I bet some of them have exceeded that, and it's just blind.
I have many times called the garbage companies and told them to replace the dumpster when it was in poor repair.
And what's been the result?
Have they done it?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah. When I make
So
it
if you could
specific.
gather some information for us to have, about that, about what's available, what types of dumpsters are available, and maybe we can require the hauling companies to use those kinds of dumpsters. I don't know.
Yeah, I see it in other parts.
Yeah, feel free to email us some of that information ahead of time too, if you find it in your research.
It might pay to touch base with Julie Dorn, just since she's with both the special improvement districts, because
The 4 time a week pickup in the village we did that in cooperation with the Village Alliance.
Okay.
Right.
And,
they came to us with that.
yes.
Right, well, perhaps it needs to be increased as the restaurants are more busy than they've typically been. And like you said, there's more restaurants than there were before.
Yeah.
And if they're sharing, then those days a week are not sufficient anymore. Cool.
Just too successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Good
Thank you,
problem.
Mr. Rowe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your patience and waiting. I know it was a
no,
long
this-
time. Thank you.
Been very interesting discussions.
I knew you would like it.
Yeah.
I'll just say, it's an exercise in democracy. And one of the things is a lot of, here I'm rambling.
Yeah,
again. I'm
I thought you
sorry.
said you were just going to say that. I think what you
just stop.
I think that would be
Thank
good.
you, Mr.
Yes,
Rowe.
thank you.
Have a good evening. At this point in time, we come to our public comment segment. Is there anyone who would like to address the Board of Health? Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to the regular agenda. We're on item number 9, introduction of a new ordinance.
Okay, number 9, Mayor, introduction of new ordinance. Ordinance number 286817, an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will add a yield sign on Plymouth Avenue at its intersection with Oakland Road, a yield sign on Quarter Avenue at its intersection at Oakview Avenue, a yield sign for the eastbound lane of Oakland Road at its intersection with Oakland Terrace, and a yield sign Oakview Avenue at its intersection with Oakland Road.
Your turn.
We need a motion.
Oh, okay. Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on September 5th.
Second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, we have another motion, another ordinance on introduction.
Item 10, Mayor, ordinance number 2869-17, an ordinance to amend Chapter 257 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This ordinance will add East Cedar Lane and South Pearson Road as streets on which there shall be no vehicle parking within 5 feet of a public or private driveway.
Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on September 5th.
Second. Any discussion on this? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you.
One more. Item 11, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Introduction to ordinance. Ordinance number 2870-17, an ordinance to amend Chapter 271 of the Code of the Township of Maplewood entitled Zoning and Development Regulations. This ordinance will implement certain zoning bulk requirements for residential properties located within R17, R15, R14, and R24 districts within the Township of Maplewood.
Mayor, I move the passage of this ordinance on its first reading, its publication according to law in the Maplewood South Orange News Record, and a hearing to be held on September 5th.
I'll second
After it goes
that.
to planning board.
And Mr. Desiderio, you sent this to the planning board, right, for their
I will,
August
but
8th meeting?
I've communicated with the secretary of the planning board, and she's already aware of it and tells me it will be on for their meeting of the 8th of August, so we should be fine.
Okay, great. Please call the roll. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Yeah, we talked about last time.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we have one discussion item, that's support for transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. I put this on after the tweet from our president. I also wanted to let you know that at the urging of one of the members of the LGBT community here in town, I did sign up, I did join Mayors Against LGBT Discrimination. And so we are officially listed with that group. And we're basically fighting any discrimination and certainly this, it appears that the military is not doing anything at the moment. So I don't think there's anything for us to do. But I just wanted to put it on there, let you know that I did sign on to the Mayors Against LGBT Discrimination.
So that's the discussion.
That's the discussion.
That's the discussion.
Well, I thought maybe there'd be more stuff happening, but the generals put the.
Well, there's a
kibosh on it.
daily barrage of
Yes.
crap that's in the way.
That could fill up our whole agenda.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Consent agenda.
Respond to tweets.
Right. We got a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Jeez, come on.
Any discussion?
None.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Adams.
Yes.
Mrs. Larrier.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes.
We still got closed again, folks.
Yes, we do. This is our second public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee? We just need your name. And if you could give us your address too, please.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Malcolm Steele. I live on 17 Osborne Terrace in Maplewood, New Jersey. I'm here to, I suppose, remind you guys that this whole police business is going to be an ongoing issue. We have only started. I wrote some stuff down. I didn't want to take time from anyone else. The idea that it's the responsibility of Black children to know how to act or how to behave when around police. We know who Tamir Rice is. We know who Aisha Stanley Jones is. Those were Black children murdered by police. We understand our relationship with the state. The thing is that the state has yet to readjust its understanding of who we are as not only citizens, but also human beings. Let's see. I must ask for the resignation of all the officers implicated in that video from July 5th, 2016. It's absolutely ridiculous that my parents should pay the tax dollars that they do and not feel with absolute certainty that their children are safe. The idea that this has not taken place in Maplewood, the disbelief that this has, taken place in Maplewood. This has taken place in Maplewood. This is something that you guys have to live with. Also, it is the responsibility of those officers to act in accordance with that mission statement. You guys are public servants. You have all chosen to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee?
Hi, Carla Caraballo. I live at 120 Jacoby Street. This has to do with the underpass at the Maplewood train station. I'm not sure if anyone has addressed it, how it's the walls. The walls are crumbling and it's destroying the art that's there. And there's rusted pipes and stuff, and there's always a puddle underneath. So I'm not sure if those walls would be like inclined to asbestos or something, but just wanted to make you aware that they're really falling apart and deteriorating.
There's no, just so we're clear, there's no asbestos there.
Okay, good.
We've been in communication with New Jersey Transit to fix it. It's responsibility of Transit. They have sent people out to stabilize it, but we need to keep pestering them to do it. I know they've been doing some work at the train station. We just have to find out what is the schedule for that underpass, because it is gross.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, the art is great. It looks wonderful, but it's just.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's not going to last forever with the condition of the walls, so we may have to do something. Mr. Manning was looking into that.
Yeah, we have actually 2 sets of volunteers willing to go in and do new murals, but there's no point in doing them until we get transit
wall
to fix the ceiling leaks.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I think they're busy with something else at the moment.
All right.
Yeah, let them fix the tracks.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to
Thanks.
address the township committee? Okay. Seeing no one, will go to administrative reports. Mr. Manning, is the farmer's market still going?
Wow, I don't know. Yes, it's going, it's every Monday from 2 to 7 on Springfield Avenue at 1848.
Corner Yale.
Yeah, corner, just east of the corner of Yale. You can't miss it. There's signs, and it looks like a typical farmer's market, only it's doing really well, and we're getting large crowds, and they're really enjoying the parking situations. I've overheard conversations, et cetera, about that. So come on down. It's the height of the summer produce season. So there's some really good corn, vegetables, fruits, everything you could think of, including some pre-made frozen things that you can take home and make in a jiffy. The other issue is we have hired a new assistant township engineer. Her name is Kathy, and this is Kathy Outlaw. So she'll be coming on board. I think it's next Monday. So she'll be coming there, and we're really very happy to have her. She comes with very good credentials and very good background checks and et cetera. So I just wanted you to be aware.
Could you let the engineer know? It'd be nice to have her at the next engineering public works meeting, just sort of.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Maybe she'll
absolutely.
quit though.
Yeah, after that.
After that, she's gone.
It's
Okay.
only a 3-hour
I
meeting
think
once
about
a
it.
month.
At the end of those meetings, I think about.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but are there any questions for me?
I hope not.
I hope not.
Is
All
there
right.
anything for Mr. Manning?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank
that gets put into an account for you, and then that account goes to the tax collector and reduces your tax bill, your property tax bill. So what we'd like to do is invite this company to come in September or October to just give us a presentation. And we can hear from them directly and not through an intermediary. And if we want to move ahead, we can do that. If not, we can just bag it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept because the dollars that you spend in the community in relation to the businesses that are involved, you know, there's some type of money that's allocated from that spend directly to your tax.
Okay.
I've seen the presentation, so
You're not impressed?
no.
One more time.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, you know, we'll listen again.
Okay. And the last thing I wanted to mention is on September 3rd, which is the Sunday of Labor Day, we are having the first annual Maplewood Porch Fest in the Hilton neighborhood. And right now we have 20 homes where there will be bands, music on their porches, and in my case, on my steps. This will be a whole range of musical offerings.
All playing at the same time?
All playing from 12 to 5.
Hopefully
Yes,
all the same
it could be. No, it could be very different. You could have some conflicts, I guess, with jazz and hip hop down the street, or classical and rock up the street. But these are people will walk around the neighborhood and just listen to music. So it should be kind of fun. So that'll be the September 3rd. 2017 from 1 to 5 p.m. And that is it. We need to make a motion to go into close so that we can finish items on the closed agenda dealing with contracts and personnel. And then we can.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. Please call the roll for, oh, you have to read that first, right? Go ahead, read it first.
Never mind.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, permits exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas this public body's opinion in such circumstances presently exists, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, in the County of Essex, New Jersey, as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion upon any action upon the herein specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter discussed as follows. Personnel and
contracts.
Contract to anticipate this time that the above stated subject matter are made public.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Ms. Larrier?
Yes.
Ms. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor Lugan?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Are we moving out of this room?
Yes, we'll go back into this.